Why, hello there, mamas. How are you doing today? It is past midweek. We are on Thursday. I know at the end of the school year it tends to get a little crazy and busy, but how are you doing today? I hope you guys are all doing well and that you're able to take some breath and just enjoy this nice weather. Even if it's just sitting outside for 5 minutes in between running around, I just urge you to take that time. I am Becky Bunnell, owner of Luca Haven Design, which is a purpose driven interior design company in Grand Rapids and West Michigan. And we believe in creating spaces that are full of intention, mission, and connection. This week we have been going over everything kids because we all know that as we're creating our refuges at home, sometimes there's a little bit of a chaos and storm that go on inside. And how can we create these homes that are very welcoming with kids and, reduce our stress as well? How can we bring the two together to create more of a Luca Haven for ourselves and our kids? We have gone through mudrooms, we have gone through the living room, and then today we are going to go through the kitchen. How do we make a kid-friendly kitchen that supports both us and them? And the first thing we always start with is your empathy exercise. So all these episodes are going to start out the same. The empathy exercise is key to really figuring out what do you need specifically and intentionally as a family, because all of our families are very different. So some of my tips may work for me but may not work for you. So we want to really take time and do that empathy exercise. And what that looks like for the kitchen is, I suggest always taking your phone and record yourself cooking your family favorite meals, because then you'll see how you move about the kitchen in ways that you may have not known you moved. And what the kids are doing while you're cooking this meal. Are they hanging on your leg? Are they running around the island, getting in your way? Are they on the countertops doing an activity? What are they also doing in the kitchen while you're cooking your meal? And going throughout the day, what are they doing? How do they feel in the kitchen? Do they feel like they're not included and they want to be? Do they have the space that they need for the activities that they want to do? And what kind of atmosphere do you specifically want to create in your kitchen? Because maybe you love to cook and you're spending a lot of time in your kitchen. Maybe you don't like to cook and you're like, I'd rather just have it be really easy to get things done and in and out of the kitchen as quick as possible. All of us are going to be a little bit different. So start with that empathy exercise. Ask yourself those questions. Ask your spouse. Ask your kids also those questions. How can you make this part of the home be a place where you all find, a place that you belong to? So that's your first. And from there, right, you're going to create your intention statement. What are your intentions or your summary of how you want this space to feel, what activities you want to do, that summary statement that you want for the kitchen, that then leads you into the mood board where you're pulling together images to make that intention summary come to life. Not necessarily exactly what you're going to implement, but it starts to bring together those words into images. And that's where you're going to start. This is your guiding star as you're making updates to the kitchen. As far as, if we make this change, does it support what we really want out of our kitchen, or does it hinder it? This is why it's so important, because this is what's going to guide you. So some of our fun, or our favorite tips, I guess, for the kitchen that have worked for us. The biggest one being, make sure that your kitchen supports independence. We have all of our kids' plates and cups and silverware down on a lower drawer that they can easily get into, so that way they can grab their cup, they can grab their plate, and already start setting the table at 2 years old. This is a big saver for us. It keeps them first occupied while you're finishing up that meal, and then if they want a glass of water, they can easily go and grab that if you're in the middle of something, and you don't have to constantly feel like you have to serve them with their own utensils. That is a big key, is to have those plates, cups, bowls, all that you need on a lower drawer so that they can reach. And then with that, their food, their snacks. I think my kids ask for a snack like 50 times a day. They are always asking for a snack. So if you make the snacks in a place that they know where they are and that they don't have to have any that they have to ask for, they know what they can grab just by simply, hey, may I have a snack? And then you're like, yeah, go ahead, go grab one. It doesn't matter what they grab, you know all the snacks are available right there. So what we have is a bin that has all their snacks in it, and we just kind of replenish it from those huge Costco boxes. We store those in a separate location and just make sure it's filled with, bars, or it's filled with dried fruit. Make sure it's all in one place that they're easily able to reach. And then if you can, if your fridge allows, make sure that there's a drawer full of snacks in the fridge that they can easily reach. Whether there's a lower drawer, or you have one of those big side-by-sides making the snacks on the bottom layer that they can reach. Or if you're really savvy, put it at the point of use. Get a dorm fridge and put it in your pantry. That way the dry snacks are right by the snacks that come from the fridge, and either option is okay. They know their full option of snacks right there in the pantry. And this can also double up if you love smoothies. It can be, if you have cut up fruit for a snack, it can either be for your snacks, or if your blender is right in your pantry as well, you have a point of use for your smoothies. Less travel around your kitchen. So those are just some of the ways that you make more independence in your kitchen. And once you can drive that independence, they want to do a lot more. They want to help. They want to do it themselves, and you can keep on focusing on getting that meal done. Another tip that we do is creating spaces where you can cook and bake together. So we have one of those kitchen helpers that can come right up to the island. There is another mom-owned business that's local called Oddwell, and I'll link them in my story today. They make a beautiful kitchen helper. It's a local product, so I suggest that you check them out. Having a kitchen helper is so nice for the littles that can't get up yet on the bar stools. They can climb up on this kitchen helper. They're right there at counter height, and we make banana bread together. We make cookies together on the island. The older kids are able to go on the bar stools, and then our 2-year-old can go on the kitchen helper and really just come together as a family and do the baking and cooking together. So yeah, just make sure that you also have enough space for that. We designed a bigger island, and even still we're finding it's not even big enough for our 4 kids, because what they do is they'll bring their coloring books and they'll bring their crayons up on the island, and our sink is in there. So make sure that you have enough depth between the sink and where the bar stools go, so that they can spread out and color if they want to, but it also leaves enough space that the stuff doesn't go in the sink, and enough space to do your baking together, and that everyone has a seat at the island, or at the table, if you will. If you have little kids, another place to do it is your dining room table. If your dining room is close by, think about that option. Bring all the cooking supplies out to the dining room table and gather around there. If you don't have an island, is another great option. And just keep in mind the different ages, right? We have ranging from 9 to 2, so we really have to pay attention to what can our 9-year-old reach versus what our 2-year-old can reach. And if we want to do things together, I need to make it both of them able to do it together. So that's why we use both bar stools, and then that kitchen helper really helps bring them together. The dining room table also is a really good place that all people can usually sit at. And I know Oddwell also makes a specific chair that helps them with getting up to the table as well. So make sure you check them out. Another tip is making sure that you have systems in place. So this is systems for activities. Do you have storage in your island where you can store those coloring books and coloring crayons, that they can do these activities at the island while you're cooking? Or maybe you need a kid's little table in the kitchen right there so that they can, have a snack easily without you, or they can, color right there and they don't have to climb up and down on the bar stools constantly. They can usually climb up, but they can never climb down and needing your help. So really creating systems that keep them busy while you're busy in the kitchen. So, and then making sure that your clutter is under control. I know sometimes with kids, it gets really out of control on the counters because the counter is a great spot to just throw things, especially if it's not a counter that is used for prepping when we're cooking. So if you're able to, don't have counters if it's not a prep counter for cooking. I know we have one that's more like a bar area. And looking back, I would have much rather had our doors go all the way down to the counter and open up to a bar instead of having an open counter, because that is a prime location for clutter just to gather because it's not a counter that's used very often. So if you can, reduce the amount of counter space you have only to prepping areas. And then if you can't, like we're not redoing our kitchen anytime soon, put a basket where the clutter is usually placed. So if you put a system in place where the habit already is, more people are apt to use the system than ignore it. So if you can put a quick basket down, pile all the papers in, and maybe it's like once a week you take that basket and say, okay, we're going to take care of all this stuff in this basket, or the moment is overflowing, okay, we're going to take 2 minutes and take care of all this stuff in the basket real quick. So really creating those systems for the kid clutter helps reduce the anxiety of having the clutter, and then opens up your space so that you can cook more easily. Other things is kid-friendly materials. So this one is a little bit obvious in the sense that, of course, we want kid-friendly materials, but who hasn't designed a kitchen that you want the granite countertops, right? I had granite in our last house, and even I almost broke a glass because it was such a hard surface. So really take a look at your surfaces. Do they support having kids? Do you maybe need a softer, solid surface on your kitchen counter? Or even the cabinets, making sure that you have cabinets that can withstand the banging of a spoon that always happens on those cabinets. I know there's another laminate door that is colored all the way through. And so that way you can buff out any scratches and it feels as solid as a solid wood door. It was a really cool product. I had never seen anything like that, but a great option for kids. Being able to have those really nice doors have the color all the way through, so that way you can buff out any scratches that may happen, and they easily clean up because they're laminate. Other materials to consider, think about your tables and chairs, right? I know it's really easy to go to Target and pick up a really cute bar stool, but will it withstand kids? Usually not. It's hard to spend the money on nicer products when we have kids. I get it. Sometimes there's not enough left for it. But if you can, with the products that you're going to use or the furniture that you use every day, like a table and chairs, get a really good product that can withstand kids. So think of the material that's made out. A hickory table has a lot of durability to it. It's a very hard wood. Or bamboo is another hard wood. So try to get a table that can withstand the banging of the drums or your spoon and fork as they're waiting for their meal. Try to get a table that can withstand all of that, because once it starts scratching and denting, then crumbs get in it and it gets gunky, and you're gonna just feel a lot better if you get a nice table and chairs. And when you're looking at chairs, look at how they're put together. This is something people don't think about necessarily. Look at the chairs at your dining room table. Look at where the crumbs gather. And when you're able to get some new chairs, look at how the chair is put together so that there are no crevices for the crumbs to get. So I know a lot of times the spools will come down into the seat, and right there's that crack that crumbs love to get into, and it is so hard to clean unless you have, stock and toothpicks. So look at your chairs and how they're built and get maybe more kid-friendly chairs that don't allow the crumbs to get stuck there. So that's kid-friendly materials. Maybe you have a dedicated homework spot. As the kids come home from school, you got to start cooking dinner, but you want to spend time together. How can you add that homework spot to your kitchen? I know we have like a coffee corner, but what if you had a homework corner where kids could sit down, be with you, not necessarily take up the dining room table, so that can be set for dinner, but can they land in a spot to do homework so that they're able to talk with you as you're making dinner? So think about how you can maybe rearrange things and do something a little bit unconventional. We have our calendar and our we have a virtue every month that we do as a family. So we have those, I have printed those off with our memory verse. So we have all of that honestly in our kitchen because that's where we spend our time. So it's a little bit unconventional sometimes to have all of that stuff in your kitchen, but it works for us. So really look at what do your kids need out of the kitchen and make spaces for that, even if it's unconventional. Another tip I saw that I have never heard of, but it was actually on a lot of blogs, and it does make sense, is to add a really big chalkboard somewhere into your kitchen, because it's a space where your kids can color on and erase and color on again, so less need for all the coloring supplies in your kitchen. You could post a question up there that they have to answer with pictures, or tell me the rest of the story. Once upon a time, there was a princess, and have them draw the pictures of the story. It keeps them really occupied while you're cooking. Or you can put the menu up there. There's a lot of things you can do with a chalkboard in your kitchen, and they're more apt to color on that than your cabinets. So that's always a good thing as well. But I would love to hear from you guys. What tips do you have? What questions do you have? What maybe did I not cover? Feel free to type it in the comments. I would love to make sure that we answer any questions you may have. And then also just share our tips. I by no means have covered all of the great tips for kid-friendly kitchens. These have just been ones that have worked for us or that I found on some blogs that I thought were interesting. So please share in the comments your favorite kid-friendly kitchen tips and pantry tips. We'll go into a little bit more on pantry organization when we cover just kitchens in general. And next week, I believe we're going to cover that. I just wanted to make sure I covered how to make it a kid-friendly pantry today. But what other tips do you want to know about kitchens? I would love to help answer any of those and then share your tips as well. And your action step then today is pretty obvious. Assess your kitchen. How is it? Is it kid-friendly? Do you have systems in place that support you and the kiddos while you're making food? Because I know I never seem to leave the kitchen, so I'm always in there. So assess how you can make it more kid-friendly. How can it support your kids more and maybe be less stressful, less chaotic for you? Because if you're able to engage them in an activity, they're not going to hang on your legs or run around the island as you're trying to open the hot oven. So what can you do? Is there something that you can do this weekend to make it a little bit more kid-friendly? Maybe it's just simply adding a basket for the clutter to go into one place instead of all out throughout the counter. Whatever it is, I urge you just take time, take a little break and assess your kitchen and how you can make it kid-friendly. And once again, please share your tips with everybody and share this video with your other mama friends. I know we're all just looking for any tip to help us create a less chaotic home with all the kids running around, especially as we go into summer. We're spending a lot more time at home with them. So how can we make it kid-friendly and adult-friendly? So share this with your mamas, and we're always trying to grow our community and how we can help support each other as we build our own Luca Havens in our own homes. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and then share those tips in the comments. I can't wait to read them. I hope you guys all have a fantastic Thursday. Tomorrow we're covering kid bedrooms and how do you make even those more kid-friendly without so much clutter. So look forward to chatting with you more tomorrow. I may have my older girl on here with us as she just went through this in her own room. So she even has some great tips for you guys as we talk about kid bedrooms. But have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. Get outside, another gorgeous day, and I will see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock.